Hey guys, welcome back. So today is going to be our 2025 update blog. We're going to go over some of the things we've accomplished this past year and then give you kind of an outline of where we think things are going to go in 2025. So one of the things we accomplished this year was launching our new Mike's Restorations website, and very successfully. I want to thank you guys very much for supporting the website and reaching out to me with all your car questions and car challenges. I've gotten lots of emails from guys all around the world working on their cars in some of the coolest places: Iceland, Italy, Germany, UK, you name it. We get emails from everywhere. It is so cool to see what you guys are working on and to get your ideas and thoughts on your project and where it's going. And so anything I can do to help you guys out, just reach out to me through the website. You can contact me there. In a lot of cases, we can resolve some of the issues just by email. In some cases, we do the work here at the shop. But it's just a lot of fun. And you guys are sharing your pictures. I just love that. And actually, I'm not really sure how to do it because I get quite a few pictures. And what I really would like to do is kind of share this in the future in some kind of a video format. I'm not really sure how to do it or how we can integrate that. But maybe you guys could give me some ideas on that, because I think it's just so cool. The community that we put together here and the guys that follow along and working on their cars, it would just be really nice to share some of these pictures and project progress with each other, and kind of compare notes. I just think it's a really, really cool thing. Anyways, let me know in the comment section what you think about that, and if there's a good way that we could do it and do it fairly so somebody doesn't get left out. We want to try and include everybody that sends a picture in or sends a story in on their car. Maybe we can do like a story of the month or a car of the week or something like that. Anyhow, I think it would be really cool. Let me know your thoughts on that one. So one of the other things we've done this year is get together with my friend Dwayne from Wick's Garage. I don't know if any of you guys have seen the latest video series on that car, but Dwayne is trying to finish up an 85 Carrera Rest-A-Mod project. And the story on that car is it's been in and out of shops over the past 10 years. The owner has endured quite a timeline on it and quite a few challenges with these shops over the years. Still, the car's not finished, so Dwayne has offered his services to try and get this car over the finish line. I'm over there helping out as I can to, two heads are always better than one. Dwayne is great to work with because he's just so meticulous. But anyhow, we're trying to get that car over the finish line, get all the final adjustments done on it, all the little details that you want to do to get your car as tight and as right as possible. Those are videos that are going to be cool to check out if you want to get your car as tweaked as you can get it, or even if you're pre-paint and body. There's a lot of information in those videos that is pertinent to how your car ends up in the end. So I really recommend you check out that series, as that's going to be very, very helpful. And then also, as that car finishes up, hopefully we can get that engine put in there. A really cool EFI 3.0 build. We're going to get that installed and hopefully get that thing out for a ride, do some ride-along video with that one. And another thing that we have on the calendar for next year is a travel trip to Japan. So probably most of you don't know out there that I have a lot of background traveling back and forth to Japan. I have many friends over there, great friends in the car world, car enthusiasts, car collectors, and just a great bunch of guys. And yeah, we just have a blast when we're over there. Sometimes I go to the racetrack, check out the car events, and my buddy over there, Moto-san, he also has a Sunbeam Tiger, but he is connected to all the guys in all corners of Japan in the classic car world. It's just so fun to hang around, and his knowledge of cars is very deep. Anyways, we're going to go meet my friends and explore Japan together, and that should be a lot of fun. Okay, let's take a quick look and see a couple of things I have working on the bench. We're going to take a look and see what's going on underneath the hood of this car. And then we'll wrap it up today by taking a look at our Porsche, and I'll tell you my thoughts on that on the next video coming up. Okay, so then taking a look and see what's going on our bench here. Got a couple of things going, carburetors and some gauges. So I had a guy reach out to me a little while back who had recently acquired a Porsche 912. And the nice thing about this car, this is a very, very early, one of the first run 912s. So I believe if my history is correct on the 912s, the first bodies were set up and run in spring of 65. And this would have been a summer 65 912 build. And this is a 3-gauge car. So very, very early car. And then also with a 3-gauge setup, very rare also. So anyways, we agreed to help them out here and restore these gauges. So stick a couple pictures in here of what they look like before we got them. So I do have a couple of videos that I posted a few years back when we did the gauges on my car that shows you how to go through these gauges and tune them up and get them back to kind of a show quality. This one here, a little bit farther in the restoration process than we took mine. I actually refinished the housings, all the brackets and hardware, as they weren't quite really in good enough shape to go with as we received them. And then also new trim rings on here, cleaning up the original gauge faces. What we wanted to do, because this is an original miles car, I guess he has some documentation to support the mileage here, which is about a 60,000 mile car. So we didn't want to roll this back and repaint all these in white because we wanted to show a little authenticity with the patina and then also with the gauge faces. So we have a little oxidation of color around the original faces. I've cleaned them up as best as possible, but we have a little bit of UV oxidation on the dial itself, and we wanted to keep that rather than go with like a decal or a new gauge face on it. So it just really shows the authenticity of the gauges. We still have a real nice concours looking refreshed set, but we still retain some of the original patina, which is very hard to replicate. You can see the center is just a little bit oxidized, which looks kind of cool. And the one thing I learned on these gauges is that, so I always thought that they had put the, however their screen printing process was, they put the black down first and then they would have put the green over the top. But actually that's not the case. What they did when they printed these, they were printed completely green first, and then the black was overlaid second on top of that, which gives a really cool look. When they get a little oxidation on there, looks very cool. So anyways, we're going to put these back together and send them off to Dan, and hopefully he gets many years of enjoyment out of them. And then also here's a look at the original trim rings that came off of there, so we couldn't really reuse those. And it looks like at some point somebody had gotten into these gauges at one point in their lifetime, whether it be for servicing or cleaning. I'm not really sure, but it looks like somebody had knurled away at the back edge there to open them up. And this is basically what's left of our bulb diffuser lenses and the colors on them. So we replaced all those and we should be in pretty good shape. Okay, let me go ahead and clear this off and we'll have a look at our carburetors. Okay, so the story on these carburetors, this is something I acquired a few years back, looking for carburetor parts and spare donor carburetors that I could cannibalize and either get mine working or starting fresh with another set. These look like really good candidates at that time, but I decided not to go with them for a couple of reasons. The main reason is they really are not correct for the production run year of my car. What we really have here is the very first Weber production run for Porsche 911. Real low serial number on these carburetors. You got 1139 here and 929 here. These are 3C1s. Real nice set, but at the time I was working with them, they had a lot of issues. So originally it looked like these were rescued from a car that had either fallen into the ocean or was living in some coastal community for a while. And the way I kind of figured that out was when I took them apart, I actually found sand in the bottom of the bowls and some sand in the bottom of the emulsion tubes. And that sand really isn't anything that is our West Coast. That sand that I found in there is really more tropical. This looks like something you would have found farther down south into Mexico or maybe even the Caribbean. Very heavy, granular type sand. Nothing that we'd find in California or the upper West Coast. These came out of Washington from the vendor that I bought them from. So where they had been sitting their whole life, I have no idea. But anyhow, fast forward a few years later, I've got some time now to start restoring these and bringing them back to life. Still got a lot of parts to source for them, but what's really unique about them, aside from their being the first production run of a Porsche Weber, is the very early style brass fittings. This is different than, these are like a brazed on fitting, and the later style, completely different configuration, how they put these together. And it probably was for cost savings, but these are the early style fittings. The other thing that really just gives these away, so on your very first run of Webers, which would have been spring of '66, you can tell by this fuel gallery here on the back side. So this would have been for your accelerator pump. And later in '66, they went to a different body casting, which would have had two fuel galleries on the back side here on both sides. And so what that additional gallery was for the S model high-speed enrichment tubes. On a standard 911, they just deleted that. You could still see the casting in there, but it was not used internally for high-speed enrichment, just for the S. So this is how you can tell on a very, very early set. Also, what's different and unique about these is the intake manifolds. Completely different in configuration and design. You can see it's got a real narrow throat on the front and rear. A little bit different, and we got the date codes and the number codes. So everything here came together as a set. We got 66 on there. So I know everything was intact. The patina was pretty authentic all the way through these things. So I have enough here to put these back together. Just need to source a few more parts and then replace like the throttle plates and the jetting and new gaskets and get these tuned up to good running order. And then what I'm going to do at that point, I'll probably put them on bring a trailer and put them back out to market. I'm pretty sure somebody would be looking for a very first set of Weber carburetors for an early 911. And then the other thing here I wanted to show you, so we've got some new blasting equipment, and what we've got here for finish, this is a combination really of some of our dry media blasting equipment we're using now and some vapor blasting equipment. And you can really see the difference in the oxidation and the quality job that does to get all that out of there, get all that gunk out of there, get that camera down in there. But anyhow, that's the way to clean those up. And we're going to Cerakote these because I'm a big fan now of Cerakote for carburetors. This is going to be clear. I'm going to put clear on here, clear on the manifolds. And even though we have a little bit different color of alloys, I think that looks really cool and really authentic. And hopefully at some point we'll have these finished up next year and can put them out to market. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look and see now what I'm working on with our other car. Okay guys, so on this car here, this has had carburation issues coming out of the last 19 of the 20 years I've had this on the road. So the very first year I put this together, I had the manifold and carburation setup correct. But there were some issues 6 to 8 months after I installed all that. It started having hard start problems. I had all kinds of gunk blowing out the tailpipes. I just couldn't figure out what was wrong because originally it ran great, ran like a top. I mean, had all kinds of horsepower, very good throttle response. So I thought, well, maybe the carburetor is too much for it. At that time, I was running a Demon 650 4-barrel double pumper mechanical carburetor, and that was an excellent carburetor for this combination here. Camshaft and heads and a compression ratio, that really was the right setup. So I thought, well, maybe it's just too much. Let's go ahead and get rid of that carburetor, which was a huge mistake, and let's get a 650 Demon with a choke and a vacuum advance. And maybe that's what the problem is. You just need some choke and some, just more of a tamed down version for this car. And at the same time, I did a swap of a manifold. I switched that to a more time period correct manifold, Edelbrock F4B. And that's a good manifold for like a stock 260 or a stock 289 engine, but not much good for the setup that we have here. This really was the best setup. A single plane Wien 7515 was ideal. So fast forward 20 years after going through several carburetors. The worst carburetor I put on here was a Holley 600 with a vacuum advance and choke, and it was terrible. It was just run way too hot, and I couldn't get it to come off the line without wanting to stall and just fall off. I tried rejetting and tried, the cam lever adjustments, and none of that would work. So this year I've just gone to some new gaskets. I'll do a video for the guys who are interested in this particular car on what happened here and why we were led down the wrong path for so long and finally returned to the right path here. A carburetor I'm going to install now is going to be a Holley 650 double pumper mechanical advance, no choke, no vacuum advance. Not going to work on this car with a stick shift, a very light car. And one of the things we're going to do on these accelerator pumps is we're going to take out the stock diaphragm and we're going to replace it with a ethanol friendly, alcohol more friendly diaphragm before we even install the carburetor, because we have issues with the fuel here that played havoc on our Porsche when we first started getting that car on the road. So we're going to take care of that right away, because I've already had issues on a previous carburetor with these things getting hard. The carburetor dries out, the ethanol gets at these things, they harden up, and then you have no accelerator pump diaphragm action in there. So hopefully that'll cure that before we get too far down the road. Anyhow, I'm going to get this thing running. We're going to get it back on the road and do some videos, some drive around video on driving this car. It is so cool. It's got so much power. All right, let's go ahead and take a look and see what's going on with our Porsche and see what's coming up on the next video for that car. Okay, so then on this car, I've got a video I want to put together. So now that we're 99% sorted out on all mechanical issues and all kinds of detail issues, this car is about as right as I can get it. We have to do a couple more things down the road, but we'll go over that when we do that video. What I want to do is put together something that reveals all the successes and all the failures of the restoration itself, because there's a lot of things we did early in the game years ago, using finished materials and welding things in and fit and finish that you would think would be right and correct, that revealed themselves years later, and you wouldn't think it would be a problem until years later. Then all of a sudden you're dealing with it. We're going to be looking at a couple of those when we go through that video. But overall, we have just over 300 miles on this now, and it is the most fun to drive. I enjoy this car so much, it's hard to describe. It's a shame I am living in Las Vegas. I don't have a really cool scenic place to take it out for a drive on the weekends, like the beach or some nice windy mountain roads. Really here in Las Vegas, you got to drive way out into the desert to get to some scenery, and taking an old car like this way out into the middle of the desert, probably not the best of ideas unless you have somebody following along with you. So that holds me back a little bit. But aside from that, when I do take it out, it's a thrill. It just drives so nice. And the funny thing on the break-in process of this car that is very revealing that I haven't had with other cars. So like every time there's a heat cycle, like start the car up, I get it up to temperature, I take it out and drive it, comes back, parks it, cools down. The next time I drive it, it drives a little bit better, a little bit stronger, a little bit smoother, a little bit, everything just gets a little bit more right each time you take it out. It's just so incredible and so thrilling to drive. I just love this car, and I'm so happy it's turned out this way. But we'll go over the shortcomings of it and talk about some of the successes with it. A lot we can learn from the project itself that should keep you out of trouble on yours, hopefully. But overall, we did pretty good here, and I'm just thrilled with the outcome. So that's a video we got coming down the road. Please be sure to check it out if you're following along the series to put your car back. Very pertinent information in there. You'll want to stay up to date and relevant with what's going on. Okay guys, that's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.